So here we are doing question 1, November 23 and 2024. Right, so those are the only two papers we're going to use in these videos. And question 1, we should know all of question 1 perfectly so that we can get a high mark. Okay, so we're going to do 23 and 24 side by side at the same time. First question. Right, so these are 111 of both papers, 23 above and 24 below. Pause the video and see if you can solve this. So the first step would be to let both brackets equal to 0. Okay, and in the second example, notice there's not two brackets, so that means the x on the outside would already be 0, and so you have 1 mark already. So this would be the first step. Next will be to bring the 3x over. Notice that it's minus 3x. Bringing it over, it will become positive 3x. And on the right hand side, the negative x becomes positive x. Now the opposite of 3 times x will be divide by 3. So the answer is 7 over 3x. On the right hand side, I just switch the left and the right without changing any signs. X is equal to negative 8. Okay, same thing. Now, the 111 below, notice that the x is already 0, and then we let the brackets equal to 0. So we'll have to take the plus 7 over to the other side. Now we have on the left 2 times x. The opposite of multiplying is divide. So on the other side, on the right hand side, it becomes divide by 2. And now you have the answers. X is equal to 0 and x is equal to negative 7 over 2. So now we have 112. Pause the video and see if you can do these two. The first step here would be to multiply each term by 3. So using your calculator, multiply each term by 3. Then we'll have to move that 1 on the right hand side over to the left hand side. Notice that it leaves a 0 on the right hand side. Next you can use the quadratic formula. The 9, the minus 12 and the minus 1 will be the a, the b and the c value respectively. You will then plug in the a, the b and the c value into the quadratic formula. So substitute correctly using brackets. So the b has a negative 12. So notice the formula also has a negative. A has a value of 9 and c is minus 1. Do note we must use brackets to substitute. And then a is 9 in the denominator. So punching it all into the calculator under the square root sign only, I will get 180. And so, using the positive on the left and the negative on the right, we will then get the answers. 1,41 and negative 0,08. Right, we're now going to the next one, 112 of the second one. Bring everything on the right hand side over to the left hand side. So bringing everything over, the plus 5x becomes minus 5x, the plus 6 becomes minus 6. Then we have like terms in the center. 1x minus 5x will give us negative 4x. So you want to write the quadratic formula first, then substitute. A will be 3, b will be minus 4, and c will be minus 6. Then we're going to substitute into the equation with brackets. So b is minus 4. Notice that the equation itself, the formula itself, has a negative in front. So there is the negative in front. B is minus 4 plus minus the square root of minus 4, which is b minus 4, is the formula. A is 3 and c is minus 6. In the denominator, we have 2a and a is equal to 3. Next would be to work out everything under the square root sign and write it in. Right, so we'll get 88 under the square root sign. Then don't forget to use the positive number and then the negative number. Rounding off to 2 decimal places, that's our answers. Do note, there's no need to put the 0 after the 9, but if you write it like that, there's no issue. Right, and notice that the paper was first the zero factor rule in 111 and 112 was the quadratic formula. Both papers had the same vibe. So if you learn the vibe of the papers, this means you're going to do it. So with inequalities, it is nothing different than an equation. So let's try solve for x in the top one. Right, two approaches you could use here, right? But mostly the right hand side is more favorable, but I'm just going to show you it's going to come to the same thing. So on the right hand side, notice I can remove a negative out of that x squared plus 16 and then factorize it. So that's the difference of squares: square root the first term, square root the second term, and there you have it, right? And then you're going to solve for x, right? And notice that x is somewhere between minus 4 and 4. So if you write this in a proper notation, so there's our two critical values, minus 4 and 4. This is how we get this, right? Then x is in the center and the arrows are always facing the left. And so another way to do this will be the set builder notation. And notice that it will be curly brackets, not square brackets, because of the more than sign. So how we have those answers is exactly the same as the zero factor rule, right? By letting each bracket be equal to 0. And so we solve them just like how we do equations. So bringing the plus 4 over to the other side, we will get plus 4 to the right hand side will become a minus 4. Then distributing the negative in the brackets, it will become negative x plus 4 is more than 0. Bringing plus 4 over to the other side will be minus 4. Right, now notice here the signs are facing in the same direction. So maybe you're wondering, why is it that that sign is now flipped the other way? Don't forget, when you divide by a negative, the sign flips. So to solve for x, we have to divide by a minus 1 on both sides. So if I divide minus x divided by 1 minus 1, it becomes a positive x. And I will also do that on the right hand side. But when I divide by a negative, the sign flips. Okay, and that's how I get x is less than 4. Notice I have x is less than 4. And here I have x is open mouth. So x is more than minus 4. X open mouth is more than minus 4. Does it make sense? Okay, so remember, when you divide by a negative on both sides with inequalities, the sign will flip. Do remember that. That's the secret in the source. Now coming back here to the first way of working it out, when I square root 16, I'm going to get a negative 4 and a positive 4. And that's how I'm going to know what my critical values are. Okay, but the way to work this out is like the right hand side. So the only reason you're doing that on the left is just to know what the two numbers are. And then you have to work it out, like how I did here, to get the correct way the sign goes, okay? The inequality sign. So do try that one again. Right, we're moving to 113 at the bottom. So here we can factorize that trinomial looking at factors of 10. So the factors of 10 are 10 times 1 and 5 times 2. We have to use two of those numbers that can give us a 3. So notice, if we add 10 and 1, we'll get 11. 10 minus 1 is 9. So 10 and 1 cannot work. 5 and a 2 looks more promising. Notice it will be opposite signs. Why? The negative there means opposite signs. So open two brackets, x and x. And next step is to place your 5 and your 2. Now you have to work out the signs so that you can get a plus 3. Notice plus 5 plus 2 is plus 7. Definitely the signs cannot be the same. They will have to be different. Now think how you can switch those signs just to get a plus 3. 5 minus 2 is plus 3. Now next you're going to let every bracket equal to 0 and solve for x. So solving them, we get minus 5 and positive 2. Moving them over to the other side, obviously the sign changes, and then we write down the two critical values, minus 5 and 2. Put x in the center, and then place your inequality signs as you see them. Right, it doesn't get any more difficult like that. And if it says draw the number line, then remember that it's a solid circle for when it has an equal to sign at the bottom. So you see that little stroke here at the bottom under the less than signs, that little stroke, this means it's including. So it won't have curly brackets, it will have square brackets. So if it said draw the number line, then it's going to be minus 5 solid circle, minus 5 solid circle, and 2 solid circle. Okay, like that, and then just extend the line. As simple as that, nothing too difficult. Okay, we're busy with 1.2 simultaneous equations. So now you have to make x or y subject of the formula. Go with which one is easier to do. So don't work with that big equation on the right. Work with the equation on the left, the simpler one always, and go with what is easiest to do. So a negative y will become a plus y. So we have 1 plus y. Try and get that first step absolutely correct so that you actually get the correct answer with all what follows after this. Now this section is very systematic, so you have to take your time here to get this right. Number them correctly. So this one is called 1a because 1a came out of equation number 1, and you have to substitute 1a not back into 1 but into equation number 2. So where x is, I'm substituting 1 plus y. 2x, so it's 2 open brackets, 1 plus y, followed by y, and then we have y squared is equal to 9. Now once you've done this, go back and look here at number 2. Make sure that it's perfect. X is 1 plus y, x is 1 plus y, there's that y there, and there is y squared there, and there's the 9 there. Make sure you have this perfect before continuing. So next step, we're going to multiply out by 2. So 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times y is 2y. That's in the brackets. Don't forget there's y on the outside. Plus y squared is equal to 9. So notice I'm taking my time in this one. Now we're going to multiply out the y. So I'm doing it in baby steps so that we don't make a mistake. So multiply 2 times y and 2y times y. 2 times y and 2y times y. Okay, that's what we will get. And then write everything else exactly the same. Now next it will be the like terms. So circle all your like terms and simplify it. So y plus 2y is 3y. 2y squared plus y squared will give us 3y squared. Then bring the 9 over to the left hand side. That plus 9 will become minus 9. Simplify it and write it in a quadratic style. Rearrange, in other words. So now it's rearranged in order of exponents. So y squared being the largest exponent, that would come first. After this, it would be the quadratic formula. So start off by writing the formula and then write what is the a, b, and c values. So a is everything in front of y squared, b is everything in front of y, and c would be the constant, which is -8. So now take that and plug it into the quadratic formula. Do it carefully using brackets for every substitution. So b is it's minus b, the equation. So it's minus and then 3 for b. Then b squared, it's 3 squared. A is 3 and c is -8. All over 2a, and a is 3. Next, you're going to work what's under the square root sign. Only what's under the square root sign, and write it down. So all under the square root sign is 105. Then plug it into your calculator, and what do you get? Right, and those are our two answers for x. Notice we are not done yet. We still have to find y. So substitute this back into 1a. Just a small correction there. We were actually solving for y and not x. I wrote x. Do note it is y. Okay, so we're solving for y. And then we're going to plug it in there for y. Right, and what do we get for x now? Right, and those are two answers. X is equal to 2,21. X is equal to -1,21. Okay, lots of work, but nice marks. Just to do this, about 6 marks in exams. 6. Okay, here's the next question. Pause the video and try it out. Notice it's also 1.2, but of 2024's paper. So, make x subject of the formula. Or, which would be easier? Try it out. Pause the video, try it out. Maybe y would be easier. So if we move -x over, it becomes positive x. And now just substitute this into equation 2. So we are substituting 1a into 2. Notice that y is equal to 2 plus x. So now we have to square out that bracket. Okay, so FOIL it out, or whatever it takes for you to do it easy. Right, so because that is 2 plus x all squared, that whole bracket squared, this means the bracket repeats itself. So the bracket's being multiplied by itself. You can FOIL it out. Do note I've taken the longer route for the majority's sake. Right, so using FOIL, 2 times 2 is 4. And then we got 2 times x, 2 times x. That will give us 2x and 2x. Then we got x times x, the last terms will give us x squared. Right, and complete it up. Right, what will be next? Put the like terms together. X squared and x squared, adding them up will give us 2x squared, not x to the 4th. This is a common mistake. Here it is like terms. We are not multiplying here. We are adding. So 1x squared plus 1x squared will give us 2x squared. Then our next like terms are 2x plus 2x will give us 4x. Then we're going to bring that plus 20 on the right hand side over to the left hand side, and that will be minus 20. Plus 4 minus 20 will give us minus 16. Now you could use quadratic equation, but that is very factorizable. It would be far quicker just to factorize that. So there is a common factor. 2 is common. If we remove 2, we'll have that. Factorize the trinomial looking at factors of 8. So 8 times 1, 4 times 2 are factors of 8. Which combination can give me a 2 with different signs? So obviously it's the 4 and the 2. So because it's a negative 8, it is different signs. Plus 4 minus 2 will give me a plus 2. Right, that is now factorized. Now we have to use the zero factor rule to let every bracket equal to 0. The easiest way to do this is just use the opposite sign of what's in the bracket and the same number. Okay, and that's as easy as it gets. Now we are going to take our answers for x and substitute him into 1a. So substituting into 1a, our answers were -4 and 2. We will get the answers -2 and +4. Right, so do correct that to +4. Right, and it's easy as that. So if you have this whole section done, so you have at this moment about 22 to 24 out of 150 if you can have all of this correct. And this alone is 16% achieved already. Anyway, happy learning.